What is going on, everybody? I'm back with another NFL prediction. We are cruising right along, and today we're going to be finishing up the AFC with AFC South. Now, this might be the worst division in the NFL. Actually, it is. In my opinion, it is. There are probably other teams and other divisions that are way worse. For example, the Jets and the Broncos, at least in my opinion. And Cleveland is up there. They're pretty bad too, but this division is uniquely horrible. And the top two teams are average at best, maybe even a tad bit below average. But with that being said, that is not going to stop me from going ahead and going over these teams. They are still NFL teams. They are in the schedule, no matter how many losses this division racks up. To get it started, the worst team in this division, at least in my opinion for this year, and it's close, is going to be the Texans. The Texans, man, there's not a lot of root for in this team. I feel bad for the city and the fans. They've had a rough go of it with the Watson saga and a lot of their guys just getting old and the coaching staff just, going back and forth. But anyway, you have to get through these tough years for brighter days, even though it's going to be a while for them brighter days. Let's take a look at their schedule. They start off with the Colts. That's a loss. Broncos, I'm going to say a loss. It's going to be close, but still a loss. The Bears, actually, no, that's going to be a loss. Definitely a loss. Chargers, loss. Jaguars, this is going to be real close. But I'm going to say loss. Raiders, loss. Titans, loss. You know what? It's time for them to get a win. And we're going to say they get a win right here against the Eagles, mainly because I want the Eagles to lose this game. That's the only reason why I'm picking them. Just a Hail Mary out there. So they lose, or they get their first win against the Eagles. Then I'm going to say they lose to the Giants. Man, I should have picked that to be their first win. Well, it's already set in stone. They're going to lose this one. They're going to beat the Eagles. They're going to win against the Washington Redskins because they're not much better. They lose to the Dolphins. I'll say they win against the Browns, and of course, they lose against the Cowboys, Chiefs, Titans, Jaguars. Those are all losses. And they finally get a big win over the Colts. Actually, no, never mind. Nope, they're going to lose that game too. Which, if you haven't been keeping count, that leaves them with a 3-14 record. Definitely one of the worst in the league, and I think that's the worst of my projections so far. So yeah, I would not be surprised if they're the worst team in the league. They might have a little bit of bright spots on the running game, but we'll see. We'll see. That's not going to save you anyway, because everywhere else is just terrible. But anyway, moving on to the second worst team in this division. And this should be no surprise, it's the Jaguars. Just narrowly beating out the Texans. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say I'll probably give them 3 or 4 more wins than the Texans, but I mean barely winning these games, and more than likely they're probably going to lose. I'm just feeling a little froggy. Jacksonville is probably the closest NFL team to me, so I kind of have a soft spot for them. So here we go. Washington Redskins, they're going to beat them. The Colts, they're going to come out strong, they're going to beat them. Everyone's going to want to get hope, and everyone's going to be like, wow, this team can actually win without Urban Meyer. They did not blow the first number 1 pick last year. But after that win, that's when the problems are going to start compiling. They're going to go on a 4 or 5 game losing streak. I'm going to go ahead and tell you that. Chargers, loss. Eagles, loss. Texans. Oh, you know what? I'll say they'll win that game. They'll beat the Texans. After that, they're going to the Giants. The Colts. They're going to lose against the Colts. They'll win against the Giants. They'll lose against Denver. Lose against the Raiders. Lose against the Chiefs. Though, they'll probably play the Chiefs pretty hard. They seem to do that for some reason. But after that game, you have the Ravens and the Lions. Loss. They'll lose to the Lions. I don't know how they'll do it, but they'll figure out a way. And you know what? I think they're going to beat the Titans. The Titans will find a way to lose to the Jags. Then you have the Cowboys and the Jets. That's a loss. Man, I don't know about the Jets. I don't know if they can beat the Jets. Well, I don't know if the Jets could beat the Jaguars. Man, that's a tough one. but I'm going to go with the Jets. So they get a loss here. After that, I say they beat Texas and the Titans. So yeah, there you go. They beat the Titans twice this year. I don't know how that's going to work out. Maybe I'm being kind of froggy, but I'm going to go with it. That's what you get in these divisional matchups. Speaking of the Titans, they're my number 3. At this point, the teams start becoming average. I don't want to say the Titans are good. They're just average, and they're probably a little bit above average. Derrick Henry does a lot for that. Tannehill, I don't think he's that good, but he's a safe quarterback at worst. So let's start with the Titans' schedule. Starting off against the Giants, that's going to be a win. The Bills, it's going to be a loss. The Raiders, I'm going to say they beat the Raiders. Then they're going to lose to the Colts. They're going to beat the Redskins. I think they'll beat the Colts, beat the Texans. They will upset Kansas City. I just have a feeling that they'll be able to do it. I don't know why, but they're good enough to beat them. They're just not good enough to be that good all year long. But they'll follow that up with a loss to the Broncos, unfortunately. But then they're going to take down the Packers. The Bengals have to have some losses here, so I'm going to say they win against the Bengals. But then they lose against the Eagles, the Jaguars, the Chargers. They'll beat the Texans again, and they'll lose against the Cowboys and the Jaguars to end the season. I know, crazy, I'm all over the place, but again, these teams in this division are hard to judge. They're all, pretty bad and mediocre. There's no standout, and there's no absolute horrible except for the Texans. And even then, I wouldn't say they're the worst in the whole league. The more I think about it, they're probably the best of the worst. And with the Tennessee Titans out of the way, that only leaves one team left to be number 1, and that's the Colts. And really, they don't deserve to be a number 1 team, but they deserve to be where they are, I guess. They're not horrible. So, anyway, let's get into their schedule. I think they'll start a win against the Texans. Everyone's going to get a win on the Texans. I think they'll cough up a game against the Jaguars. They'll lose to the Chiefs. They'll beat the Titans. They'll lose to the Broncos. They will win against the Jaguars. They will lose to the Patriots. I would never pick the Colts to beat the Patriots ever in a million years. Even if the Colts are championship contenders and the Pats aren't, I still won't pick it. But after that, they're going to lose to the Raiders, and that's when they're going to go on a little bit of a hot streak. I can see them beating these other mediocre teams like the Eagles, Steelers, even the Cowboys, and even probably their biggest win of the year, the Vikings. That's pretty sad, but that's probably going to be their biggest win of the year. Then they're going to lose to the Chargers, and they'll beat the Giants, and finally they will wrap up the season with the Texans with another win, leaving them with an 11-6 record. So yeah, they're the number 1. I can easily see the Titans being number 1, but I'll go with the Colts right now, just from what I'm seeing, and that's my gut feeling. But yeah, pretty terrible division overall. If you're a fan of any of these teams, which I know a couple of you are because you're my friends, I'm sorry. Feel bad for you. But hey, it is what it is. Let me know what your thoughts. What do you think these teams are going to do? What are your opinions? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, thank you for listening, and have a great day. God bless.